In 1978, three psychologists tracked down 22 people who had won the Illinois state lottery. Big winners, $500,000 or more in 1970s money. The researchers expected to find people drowning in joy. Instead, they found something stranger. The winners were no happier than their neighbors who'd never won. Almost 50 years later, that finding might be the reason you can't get ahead, even when your paycheck keeps growing. Here's a number that sounds made up. In a 2025 Goldman Sachs survey, 40% of Americans earning over $500,000 a year said they live paycheck to paycheck. Read that twice. $500,000. After tax, that's still over $25,000 a month. And 4 out of every 10 people in that bracket said the next paycheck couldn't come fast enough. It gets stranger. About 41% of those earning between $300,000 and $500,000 reported the same thing. But only 16% of those earning $200,000 to $300,000 said they were paycheck to paycheck. Sit with that. The higher earners were broker than the people one rung below them. This isn't a one-off survey. A 2025 Harris poll found that 64% of Americans earning over $200,000 had used credit card rewards points to cover essentials. Half had used buy now, pay later for purchases under $100. These are people who, on paper, made it. So why does crossing the salary line you spent your 20s dreaming about feel like nothing changed? The answer is 3 forces, all working against you at once. Once you can see them clearly, the whole pattern makes sense. The first force is the simplest. The cost of essentials is rising faster than wages. Since 2017, the Urban Institute estimates that average U.S. earnings grew about 43%. Over the same period, home prices grew 81%. Rents grew 54%. The cheapest silver health insurance plan on the ACA marketplace rose 77%. Childcare in many cities now rivals college tuition. Car insurance, home insurance, electricity, all rising faster than the paycheck. The numbers add up to a quiet shift in what a good income actually buys. 6 years ago, a household earning $100,000 could afford 65% of homes for sale in America. By 2025, that same household could afford just 37%. Same income, half the access. In late 2025, a typical American family needed about 34% of its income just to cover the mortgage on a median-priced home. The official threshold for cost-burdened is 30%. Most of the country is now over that line. Not from buying too much house, from buying any house. Your salary sounds bigger than your parents did. But the things that used to come standard with that salary moved up a tier. Owning a home, having a buffer, taking a month off, all quietly bumped to the next bracket up. The second force is more subtle. It's called lifestyle creep. It works like get a raise, 5%, maybe 10%. You promise yourself this is the year you'll start saving seriously. 6 months later, the money is gone. Where did it go? Nowhere dramatic. No Lamborghini. It went to a slightly nicer apartment. A car payment that crept up $200 a month. 3 new subscriptions. A dinner habit that drifted from twice a month to twice a week. Wealth advisors estimate that raises and bonuses get fully absorbed by recurring lifestyle costs within 12 to 18 months for the typical earner. Take the case, Fortune profiled in 2025. A New York investment professional made hedge fund partner by 27, then ran his own firm with $20 million under management by 31. With the income came the right watch, the correct suit, the $1,000 shoes. By every external measure, he was winning. But the lifestyle had quietly become a cage. The income had to keep coming because the spending had locked in around it. The real danger isn't that you wasted the raise. It's that those upgrades become permanent. The bigger apartment locks in a higher rent, the nicer car locks in higher insurance. Private school locks you in for years. You're now running a more expensive life. Even if your income drops or stays flat, your spending can't. That's the trap. Lifestyle creep doesn't just absorb raises. It quietly removes your ability to walk away. But the deepest force is psychological, and it's the one that powers force two. This brings us back to those Illinois lottery winners. The 1978 study by Brickman, Coates, and Janoff Bullman compared three groups: lottery winners, recent accident victims, and a normal control group. The researchers expected the winners to be much happier and the accident victims much sadder. What they found was almost the opposite. Within a few months, the lottery winners reported being no happier than people who'd never won. The accident victims, after the initial shock, drifted closer to baseline than anyone predicted. Psychologists called this the hedonic treadmill. The idea is that humans adapt. Whatever you have, you stop noticing. Whatever was a luxury 6 months ago is wallpaper today. The first time you sit in a heated car seat, it's magical. By month 2, a heated seat is just what a car has. The implication is brutal. Every raise feels amazing for about 90 days. Then your brain rewires the new income as the new normal. The bigger apartment becomes just my apartment. The nice vacation becomes just our annual trip. To feel that lift again, you have to spend even more next time. This isn't weakness, it's how human brains work. But it's also why earning more rarely makes people feel richer. The treadmill speeds up to match. Later research has refined the picture. Daniel Kahneman won the Nobel Prize in economics. In 2010, he argued that happiness rises with income up to about $75,000 a year, then plateaus. A decade later, his colleague Matthew Killingsworth found that the curve actually keeps rising for most people. Their reconciliation, published in 2023, was nuanced, but the core insight survived. Above a basic threshold, more money buys diminishing returns on day-to-day happiness. Adaptation is real. So, what do the people who escape this trap actually do? They don't necessarily earn the most. The data is pretty clear on that. They do something almost boring. They decouple their lifestyle from their income. When a raise lands, they don't ask, "What can I afford now?" They pretend the raise didn't happen. The extra money quietly redirects to investments before it touches their lifestyle. After about a year, they let some of it through, but only after the saving habit has locked in. Financial planners sometimes call this saving the raise. Save half of every raise before adjusting your spending, and your savings rate climbs automatically as your income grows. It doesn't stay flat forever. The math compounds in your favor fast. An extra $500 a month, invested at a 7% average return, becomes about $260,000 over 20 years. The same $500 spent on a nicer car payment becomes nothing. There's a second part of the playbook that gets less attention: automation. Behavioral economists have known for decades that what you have to actively decide to do, you usually won't do. What happens automatically, you don't fight. Set up the transfer the same day the paycheck lands. Put it in an account you don't check often. Make the friction work for you instead of against you. The last piece is recognizing the gap between two words that get used like synonyms: rich and high income. A high-income person has a big paycheck. A rich person has assets that pay them whether they show up to work or not. Those are not the same thing. Plenty of people in the first group are one layoff from disaster. The people in the second group built up the gap between what they earned and what they spent over years, sometimes decades. That gap is the entire game. There's a line that gets attributed to a lot of people but probably belongs to none of them. Wealth is what you don't see. The mansion on Instagram is income. The quiet 7-figure brokerage account nobody posts about is wealth. That's the part the paycheck never tells you. Earning more is not the same as keeping more. And until those two numbers start moving in different directions, the next raise is going to feel exactly like the last one.